Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Success Shift. We're here. We are cultivating entrepreneurial confidence. My name is Colby Derrickson, and I am your host. Today, we have a very special guest speaker that I'm extremely excited to announce in a moment. But before we do, if you are new to our show, welcome, everyone. I highly encourage you to go to previous episodes and get a little glimpse of what we're about. But here, what we do is we cultivate your confidence. We help you scale to new levels and break those limiting beliefs. Again, today we have a very special guest on. He's a dear friend of mine, an amazing human being. His name is Jacob Valdellon, right? Jacob Valdellon. And again, great human being. I gave you guys kind of a little glimpse and a little background about Jacob. He's a faith-driven leader. Everything he does is based off of his faith, and it shines, right? It really does shine. He absolutely excels in the sales industry. He's made multiple six figures doing so, which has allowed him to be a great leader and mentor to his team. You guys can find him on Instagram at Jacob Ian Valdellon. Again, that's at Jacob Ian Valdellon on Instagram to know a little bit more about Jacob. But Jacob, what's going on, brother? Extremely excited to have you on. How are you?
Let's go. What's up, Colby? No, I'm honored and privileged to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm just excited for what the viewers are about to experience here today.
Jacob, tell the viewers and tell the listeners a little bit more about you, man, and a little bit about your background and just your history.
Yeah, I'm 27 years old, born and raised Southern California. I got cut my high school year, or my cut got cut my junior year in high school from baseball. Right. So my identity was totally shifted. I knew that I wanted to become somebody. So I carried this huge chip on my shoulder, trying to prove myself right and try to prove a lot of people wrong. Right. So from there, I had to go out there and fail forward into entrepreneurship. I saw a video from Tai Lopez in 2014, and I was like, oh, knowledge, right? Entrepreneurship. So I ended up getting a real estate license. And then I was actually introduced to this company called World Financial Group, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with your audience. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship career, right? And I'm sure there's so much more that I'm going to unpack for you guys, but that was like the foundation of me stepping into entrepreneurship. I currently am building an insurance agency with a company called American Income and Globe Life. And there's so much to unpack today. So I'm excited to share with you folks.
Awesome. So that actually ties right into a question I had for you, brother. When did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? And what about it stood out to you the most?
Yeah, so I would say for me, like I said, after I got cut, I was like, dude, I need to find a way to become successful. I need my name to matter. I need to really do something big in my life. I was always called to do something. I thought it was sports, but I turned my passion from baseball to be a passion in business. And honestly, what stood out to me about it the most was that I could change the trajectory of my entire family's life. Right. I wanted to I wanted to just make a difference, make an impact. But I think early on in my career, a lot of people, they do it for selfish reasons, selfish ambition. They want to get rich. They want to have a hot girlfriend. They want to travel the world. They want to buy a Lambo. They want to buy the Rolexes. They want to buy all the stuff. But they come to find out once you kind of go through some of those phases is that none of it really matters. And true wealth recognizes faking the wealth and faking it, right? And it's so beautiful to see now when you actually see guys that are actually doing it. They're no longer doing it for the flex. They're doing it more so for the legacy, for the impact. And I had to go through the maturity of the entrepreneurship phase of wanting to become rich, wanting to flex, wanting to make the money, to then now pouring into people, developing leaders, getting closer to God, listening to my assignment that I have from him, right? So there's so much has shifted. I love that word shifted, at least in my career and my values in the last 3 to 4 years for sure.
That's awesome. You said it in the beginning, a lot of people want to do it for the rich and fame, right? Which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having, like, if you have that initial like desire, there's nothing wrong with it, right? Don't get me wrong. Like the cars, the houses, the watches, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to have that. And everyone should know you are entitled to want to have that. If that's your choice, that's your choice, and don't let anybody change it. But like you said, there's a time that you go through and you start to realize, like, you start making these like checkoffs and they're just an empty space. And then so that's when you really have to find and like revert back and say, well, why am I actually doing this? Like, what is the true desired purpose? And is that when you started to find your faith, or when did faith come into the picture for you?
Yeah, no, I grew up, what's it called? I grew up born and raised Roman Catholic in a Filipino household, right? So I always had the Holy Spirit inside of me. I always had these convictions from the Holy Spirit, raised very well from my mom and my grandparents. So I just knew that there's more to this life past these 70 to 80 years that we're here, right?
Mm.
I want to make sure that I'm making deposits for eternity, or rather than making deposits just for this temporary world, because no one's going to remember your name. No one's going to remember the money you made. No one's going to remember anything that you truly do. But the person that will remember everything that you did was the guy above, right?
Mm.
So ultimately, my number one goal now is to make sure when I hit my pillow at night, is I ask myself this question is, did I make God proud today?
Mm.
And it's black and white, yes or no. Your decisions should be black and white, yes or no. Is what I'm doing right now expanding the kingdom? Is what I'm doing obedient to what he has for me? Yes or no. The second you even question it, it's a no. There
Right.
should be no compromise in everything that I'm doing. How you do one thing is how you do everything. In my relationships, how I want to become the man into the next relationship to get married one day. No longer want to be the guy who's known as the player, as a guy that gets girls or sleeps around, or all that stuff is cool, right? Until you realize it's just empty. And you wake
Right.
up one day like, dude, I just want to be in love. I just want to have a family. I want things that are just certain in my life. I don't want to be loved for what I have. I want to be loved for who I am. Right. So there's a lot of those huge awarenesses or paradigm shifts shifted for me when it comes to my faith. Right. And actually having an encounter with God, not just showing up and crossing the boxes. Because there's a lot of people that are very aware of, I would say, the teachings of faith, but they're spiritually dry, and they don't carry the anointing. They don't know how to move people, how to hear God's voice, right? So those are all the huge things that have happened to me in the last 6 months. And I hate to be that guy that preaches on here, but it's just what I've been going through these last season of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned so you were a baseball star in high school, and that was the career you were thinking that you were going to have. And it's funny, man, is it was very similar for me, just not baseball. I grew up
Yeah.
racing motocross, right? And that's what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life, was race a dirt bike, right? But unfortunately it just didn't work out, and that's okay, right? It's totally okay. It is funny though that you mentioned that. Like, I feel like a lot of athletes go the entrepreneur route, and so for you, instead of just going the 9 to 5,
Yeah.
what made the entrepreneur side stand out more, like, for you?
Yeah. No, I can't be told what to do. Like, and I couldn't exchange time for money. I did it for a couple seasons of my life, but I would just get so frustrated knowing that this potential that I'm carrying would have just been wasted. So for those that, like, we always teach this when you do get into entrepreneurship, we teach the cash flow quadrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned
Mm-hmm.
I did a coaching call this morning on it. You start off as an employee where you exchange time for money. Then you go to self-employed where you're still exchanging time for money, but you're the one in charge and in control. A lot of people stay there. Really, entrepreneurship, a real entrepreneur owns a business, owns a model, owns a system. If you're in a position where you're just a high paid salesman and you actually can't make money while you're away from your business, you're just a glorified salesman. You're not an entrepreneur, right? So to get into the business owner side is you have to have systems, you have to have operations, you have to have duplication, you have to have revenue, right? And then you're able to manage certain things, right? What I learned also, this is going to kind of get in more technical side for some of your audiences. What are your lead and what are your lag measures? So many people focus on the lag measures, right? Am I getting enough sales every month? Am I getting my recruits every month? Am I getting, the cash flow? Am I getting all of the results, which is the lag measure? But not a lot of people focus on the lead measure of their controllables in business, right? How many contacts am I making a day? How often am I drilling on my craft of my business? Do I have a battle plan? Do I have do I have my goals written out? All the things that you need to focus on at the beginning of your business. A lot of people don't even realize that because they're so focused on an outcome. And when you start to really critique the lead measures of your business, you'll actually start to be able to measure the growth of what you're doing. So I learned that there's a lot. That's a huge lesson I learned recently, because I was getting frustrated about the results I wasn't getting, but I wasn't paying attention to the lead measures of my business.
Yeah, I love that, and that you speak a lot of truth on that. And if you guys don't know what the cash flow quadrant is out of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah,
Highly encourage you to read that book.
for sure.
Now, so you said something, right? Self-employed, glorified salesman, right? And in order to become and don't get me wrong, there's a stepping stone in entrepreneurship, and that is definitely a necessity. You don't just wake up one day and be a significant business owner, right?
Yeah.
What would you say for somebody that maybe realizes like, okay, all I do is sales, right? For those people that are thinking that, how would you help them, or what would you guide them, or maybe say the first step is to get into that business ownership entrepreneur side?
Yeah, I would say make sure you're in a model that can scale, right? Especially in real estate, unless for at least I used to do real estate. So I sold real estate during peak COVID years, 2020 to 2022. I'm making money hand over fist, but I realized that I'm not in control of market conditions. So that means I'm not in control of my business. So,
Mm, mm,
right. So which is unfortunate because there's a lot of realtors right now and loan officers that are struggling. I've heard so many stories of guys that were making millions of dollars a year are now driving Uber, or they're trying to transition to solar, or transition to insurance, or transition somewhere because their money's not there anymore. Right. So you have to make sure you're in a vehicle that you can scale, that you can see 3 to 5 years into the future. Because if your business isn't going to be there in 3 to 5 years, like that, there's no reason to start planning the foundation and building that. Find a mentor, right? So whoever's doing it at a high level, get a mentor who's going to be able to teach you how to scale and build a business, have a business model, business plan, right? And then work it every single day. I feel like that's one thing too, is people get into like opportunities who are entrepreneurs, but they don't treat it like a business. Like they treat it more like a hobby, or they treat it more like their play business. Like you got to put every hour on the hour into this thing for your first 36 months. Like I wouldn't even suggest buying anything outside of personal development or reinvesting into your business for the first 36 months. And I'm telling you that because I haven't done that. If I could reinvest all my money into my business, not spend any money on dinners, on freaking Louis Vuitton, or all the dumb shit that we bought. Oh God, I would get all that money, put it back into marketing, put it back into systems, put it back into hiring, getting a personal assistant. I would have been able to deploy my capital way better to then grow exponentially. But you get so caught up when you don't know how to make money for the first time of your life. You see a 5-figure check hit your account, and then you're just like, oh, I should probably go buy a nice dinner and celebrate. Which, yeah, do that. Or I might go buy this for my friend, or go buy this here. Or I want to go get all these things that you don't need, right? Because you want to establish yourself. You want to have, like, you play with the end in mind. What does the best outcome of your business look like? And how can you backtrack and reverse engineer what that looks like? And then
mm.
there's a gap of work that you need to do. And how much can you get done every single day to start shaving the hours and shaving the gap to get better, right? So in a condensed version, that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, absolutely. You said something like, if a lot of people treat it like a hobby, and the saying goes, if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay like a hobby, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's powerful. Something else I think you said that was pretty powerful to notate and notice is the getting caught by the flashy things, right?
Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. I like it. And that's so true. And honestly, I think that comes from social media, right? There's a difference. So social media, and I think I've talked about this in the past, but social media has done so much good for people because it's a free branding, right? Like you get to
Yeah.
brand yourself on this, but it also can reflect poorly because now you have all this look at me stuff, and you start comparing, and that can definitely detriment your confidence because you're like, well, I don't have that and I don't have that. Right.
Mm,
When in reality, a lot of it's just a face,
so much,
just a face.
so
And I
much.
think those shiny objects on social media neurologically make people feel like, well, I need to go have these shiny objects too to look important, right?
Hmm.
And you're 100% right. I made the same mistake. Like I started making a lot of money. I was like, let me get this car, let me do this, right? And like,
Yeah.
you know, if I could go back and reinvest into myself, and I would 1,000% do so too. And so I think that's definitely a learning lesson that people just took from that is don't get caught by the shiny objects. Focus
Yeah.
on your personal development and your growth. Don't treat it like a hobby because then it'll pay you like a hobby, and
Yep.
put everything you have into it. And so really that leads me into a question. And a lot of us entrepreneurs, we have this like, I'm gonna give it all, or I'm gonna run right into this thing, right? And so we'll run at it right into it head first.
Yep.
It's like the saying of like, if the pool's cold, just jump in, don't dab your feet because you'll never do it, right?
Yep.
You run into it head first, and you jump right on in, and then you suffer for a minute. But that's typically what happens is when you do jump in head first, you do suffer for a little minute, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and so with that, and with that being said, that's exactly it. That's the tough part. We fall on our face typically when we jump head in, and we realize like this is not all sunshine and rainbows, right? And so for you, I'm sure there's many times, right? I want everyone to like, I want to be truthfully honest here. Like, it's not just you make one mistake and you learn and you become successful and a millionaire. There's
No.
mistake after mistake after mistake, but there's, I feel, a time, and there's different seasons in our life. But what was like a season where you remember that you just fell forward directly right on your face? And what was that for you? That fell forward moment to where like you had to really sit there and reevaluate. And what exactly did it do for you? And how did you perform from it?
Yeah, dude. So actually, this is where I want to get really vulnerable. I'm actually in one right now, which is
Mm.
great because I really want to look at this moment. I was telling Kobe before we started, like I want people to know what I'm going through right now because, like you said, it does look so perfect to be an entrepreneur on social media. But let me tell you, it's not.
Mm.
This is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever go through. It's going to test your confidence. It's going to test your skill set. It's going to test your belief. It's going to test your skill. It's going to test every part of you. It's going to raise all the ugly parts of you are going to start showing up that you don't, if you don't address them and fix them or overcome them or grow, you'll never get to the next level. So I'm actually in one right now. And I actually want to say that because I want to look back at this moment on September 1st of 2023. So I can be like, hey guys, back in September 1st of 2023, this is what I was going through. So right now I'm at a transition. I was doing funeral pre-arrangements with a company called Global Atlantic. Scaled the team about 12, right? We were making about 10K a week net. Just that's our operating expenses. We were probably pulling home about 10K a week cash, which if you multiply that for the next 12 months, about half a million net, which is pretty good for an entrepreneur, right? And we're
Right.
making doctor money, and I'm 27. Um, but then something happened when I went to Miami. I went to this Christian men's fellowship retreat, and I met some guy named David Carpenter, and he forever changed my business because he showed me how to scale online. All the systems are there, everything was there. But during this transition, I got terminated from my insurance company, and I literally had to deplete my savings in the last 45 days because my commissions got frozen. I went to a brand new insurance company, took all my top guys with me, start from zero. My overhead was like 20 grand a month, right? So it's like you're over leveraged now. What happens when you over leverage? You blast through your savings, you start
Mm-hmm.
maxing your credit cards, you start doing whatever you got to do. Now you have
Yep.
to really evaluate the life that you're living, right? Am I going to survive this? Yeah. Dude, am I going to take a hit of my credit? Sure. But guess what? You can rebuild your credit. Creditors can freaking hold their horses,
All
right?
right.
If you get behind on a car payment or rent, guess what? You're fine. You'll be okay. But people don't talk about those things. There's some mental battles that you're going to go through, right? People will get into debt one day, but I almost believe it's a requisite to get to the next level because you have to learn these lessons now to be a good steward of the wealth. Because if you take the same habits with more money, you're going to be more destructive. and you'll be able to
Mm.
freaking you'll probably funnel into even worse debt because you can't predict all of life's um pivots. You can't predict all of the forks in the road. You can't see it coming. If someone gets sick, if you lose a loved one, if business shuts down on you, if markets change, if things happen, right? If your Facebook ads stop showing up, things can happen. So if you're gonna have to know how to pivot fast and get ready. So I'm going through it right now. What I'm learning right now is that don't over leverage yourself. Keep your lifestyle way below its means, right? It's fun to flex with a brand new car. It's fun to flex with all the travel. It's all fun to flex with all the dinners. I've lived it. It's cool. I went to all the cool stuff. It's so cool until it's not, right? Get yourself in a way better position financially, right? And I'm really unlearning what it's like to be successful. Because my
Mhm.
blueprint is the more money you make, the more money you want to show. That's not true. Like I want to downsize myself. I want to have multiple six figures, if not millions of dollars in the bank. And I don't want anyone to know. I want people to know my wealth based off how I show up and the content that comes out of my mouth.
Mm.
Right. So there's so much I'm learning right now during the season. And when you fall on your face, just know that you can either choose to stay down or choose to get up. And the real ones are going to get up. And it's not fun. There's times where you just feel like you want to quit. There's times where you're just like, dude, should I just file a chapter 7 bankruptcy? Just make it all go away. What are these next
Right.
10 years? Should I just, what do I do? How am I supposed to, rob Peter to pay Paul to then freaking kill Paul to then pay freaking Jeffrey and then, like there's like you're just trying to do all these things, right? But that's the real side to entrepreneurship that no one talks about because all these guys that are successful now that are multi-million dollar freaking business owners now, they didn't have Instagram in the last
Just
14
do it.
years.
Right. Just
Yeah,
do it.
they've already went through the mud, but they wanted to go to document or talk about it that they were able to. So yeah, dude, I'm going through it, but guess what? I have a game plan. I'm headstrong. I'm grounded. I'm leaning on my faith. God's showing. You know what happens when everything looks so pretty and perfect? God doesn't have room to show up,
Right.
right? When things are just shit's hitting the wall, things are going here, you're just feeling like this overwhelm of stress, then you create an opportunity for a miracle to happen. And that's when God will show up and you're like, dang, he's got my back and he's carrying me through this season. So like I'm good. Like honestly, I'm good because honestly, at the end of the day, my only problems are the problems I've created, which are financial problems. Like, if I didn't have the three Mercedes Benz on my freaking thing, live in freaking Irvine, do all this stupid stuff that I'm doing right now, I would be in a way better position. So I self-inflicted all of this pain, but thank God, my only cross that I'm carrying is a financial burden. But I at least have a game plan and a business model and a team and a vision for my future to be able to dig myself out. And I love it also is because I can actually now coach people who built them into or fell into a ditch and show them how to dig themselves out. Because you can't really coach someone through something you've never been through. It's like a tour guide or like a travel agent. They talk about Hawaii, but they've never been there. It's like, oh yeah, the coconuts are nice. You've never been there. It's like,
Right.
let me talk
Right.
to the guy. Let me talk to the person who's actually been there.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say about the season I'm in right now for sure.
And that's powerful, and thank you, brother, for being vulnerable like that,
Yeah.
because I think it's important for people to understand everybody goes through it, right? There's like you mentioned it, the like, do I file bankruptcy, right? You mentioned all that, and there's this voice that, I mean, even to this day, sometimes I have that voice that comes in my head, and says, I don't know if I can do this. But to be honest, that's just our critical faculty trying to keep us safe, right?
Yeah.
It's trying to keep us safe, and sometimes it's important. I think people hear that voice, and instead of realizing that's just a part of their critical faculty in their head, they think it's something telling them not to do it. When in
Mm,
fact, it's okay to say, "Hey, no, we're going forward with it, and we'll be okay."
yep.
Right? And I think that's very, very critical. And so, thank you for being vulnerable with that. And that is also even more proof. Like, there's seasons, right? You've made multiple six figures, and then
Yeah.
you have your times, and then you go back up, right? And so, for you, during this time frame, and actually, before I even ask that, it's funny is you said something about you were uplifting your life, and now you're trying to downgrade. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that even happened to me. So I can even recall 2 years ago the difference, like on bill sets, right? Like my mortgage 2 years ago was $1,300. We lived in a $300,000 house in Nashville, and it was
Yeah.
$1,300 a month. And now I'm
Nice.
looking how much I pay in San Diego, and
Oh
it's
man.
it's
Oh,
quadruple. So
it's like four
um,
times the price, but half the size of the house. Like, what?
right,
How
right,
does that work?
exactly,
How does that
exactly.
work? Yeah.
I'm at a brand new build in Nashville, and
Yeah.
compared to a whole different ball
Dude,
game.
trust me.
But
Trust
I'm
me.
the same way. Like it's like we start to realize like it's not the pieces, it's not the material. There is a time for that. Don't get me wrong. There's time when you're gonna have so much money where we gotta put it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I think it's important for people to recognize that stay as low ground as you can, so you have all the room to grow. For you right now, and because you said you were in one of those fail forward moments,
Yeah.
what would you say was the learning lesson from it? Like the biggest learning lesson you took from it?
Yeah. You gotta take full accountability of your life. I would say take accountability for everything. I think for the longest time, I kind of just like leaned into other people's visions. I listened to that person. I kind of went there. Kind of was just like having fun in this season. Didn't really take it as serious as I should have. But I feel like once you take full accountability of your life and you own it all, then you take control back. Right. So that was probably the biggest thing. And knowing how to really manage your finances. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm a single man, right? I have no girlfriend right now. My bills are like 8 G's just for a single man. Like what? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So there's so many things I could shed, all right? Things that don't need to be there. But when you're making 10 grand a week, it's like 1 week is my bills, all the way 3 weeks of my fun. It's just
Right,
like,
right.
yeah. So like it's different. But now is when you really get like a halt to your income, you start to appreciate your money more. You start to, like I said, you deploy your capital a bit differently. You start to save a little bit more. You stop going and buying $100 dinners every day. Like
Mm.
that's kind of what I was doing. I was buying old fashions from Lazy Dog, smoking like $15 cigar every night. Just money was coming in every day, so you don't see how much you're just blowing, right? So I'm learning more to appreciate the money because this is the first time it ever caught up to me. My lifestyle kind of just increase, grow, and then something just happens and it stops, and you're just like, whoa, I was so used to that lifestyle. Like now I have to kind of like pull back and appreciate more. And even the mentor that I have right now in my life, he probably makes over 2 million a year net, right? But his bills are under 8K, his personal bills. I'm like, let's say guy making multiple millions have a lower overhead than I am, and I'm just trying to run this rat race, right?
Right, right.
So that's the biggest lesson. It's just full accountability of your life, right?
Full accountability. I love that. So what would you say the shift is that you're making to get to the next level now?
Man, like I said, I'm putting in more work now. I'm planning my flag. The beauty about what I've done in the last year, I went through 4 industries and smashed all four, did really well in the last, like I said, year and 2 years. I went through World Financial Group. I recruited heavy, but I didn't have the right leadership to guide and lead me. That's it. Then where does it go back to? Accountability. What could I have done differently? Right. I
Right.
went through real estate, did as much as I could. What was my accountability? I could have either went through brokerage, I could went through wholesaling, I could have done way more with my money. I could have done something different, right? Then I went and did really well in real estate, did well in WFG, and then I did really well in funeral. Funeral is actually really great. I just didn't see a long-term vision there, right? The accountability I saw is that I want to be able to scale this business, buy my time back, lower my expenses, um, and have a clear vision for my future, right? When there's no vision, people perish. So
Mm.
accountability here is that now I know what I'm gonna do, and I know I'm gonna plant my flag. I'm not gonna look left, I'm not gonna look right, not look for the next opportunity. It's just like getting into a relationship. Like there's gonna be a hotter girl out there. There's probably gonna be there are so many hotter girls out there, but you got to commit and fall in love and choose that person every single day who you're gonna ride with. And same with the business. There's probably a better business model out there, but you got to stop looking around. You have to make commitment. I think that was the biggest thing too. I learned is learning how to commit. All right, just learning how to put your head down and plant your flag and commit. Because now I'm creating. There's no other. I'm not. There's no other way. There's no other exit but it. There's no back door. I'm just putting myself planting my flag, and that's it, burning the boats and never looking back. And then I get to look back in 30 years and be like, wow, I'm in my 50s, like what Ed Milet's doing, and be like, I just put my head down, made that decision, and forever had like a great life, right? I think that's the difference for sure. That shift was, I would say, commitment.
Commitment's huge. And I think that is extremely true. So many people talk about the grass being greener on the other side. Look at this, look at that. This is better. Come here, come there. And you get so distracted. But what people don't realize is every single time that they start over, they're starting over from ground.
Starting over. Yeah.
Right. And so that's amazing, man, that you found that realization out for yourself, because you have made multiple six figures. And so you could do it again, right? Don't you? Like, that's the easy part. Like, you could do it again. But now it's just about, okay, how do I get past that and get to the new heights, right? The next barrier, that next level. And I think you nailed it on the head. Commitment, right? Commitment and sticking it through and seeing it through is very, very valuable. And what advice, brother, do you have for people that are trying to find their way? Like, if you could give people just like that advice, that raw advice of just trying to find their way, what would that be?
Trying to find your way. I think there's something deep down inside of you that knows what you want to do and what you're built for. All of us are given different gifts, every single one of us, right? So God already knit you in the womb. He already named you. He already put the hairs in your head. He did all that before you were even here. So there was already a divine calling on your life, right? So I believe that there's a lot of places you need to go to figure out what's for you and what's not. I would say just get messy with it. Try everything. Find what works. And then find the people you want to do it with. Because I feel like your calling will actually call you. Something about something is going to be like, it's a full body yes. Oh, I don't know, something about that opportunity, those people. Something's telling me to go that way.
Energy.
Something is telling you to go that way and just fully commit. You can't really put a finger on it, but there's something telling you to go that way. When I was introduced to this opportunity, it was like a full body yes. I'm like, dude, there's the alignment of the person I'm going to be partnered with, everything I'm doing right now, it all just makes sense. But if I were to look at the dots connecting backwards, I would have never been able to guess I would have arrived here from real estate to W. Like, so you have to realize that there's a divine orchestration of your life, that the ones that are anointed and called to win big, because honestly, Colby, I would say probably 2% of your listeners are actually called to win big. And that's just facts. Not everyone here. That's like 3% of the wealthy own 90% of the businesses. That's just the way it works, right? So we're talking to one or two people out of the 100 that are listening right now, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's speaking to me," right? Other people that feel like they're speaking to me, they're being spoken to, but they're just too damn lazy to even get off the ground and actually make it happen. Everyone has a call. Don't get me wrong. Everyone is called to do something great, but there's only be 2% of you guys that actually get up and do it. So I'm talking to you guys. So I would say just everything you're going through, find the lessons that God's trying to teach you in the season that you're in. Almost like if you were in, let's say your life was the Bible, right? And you're on the reading the book of Jacob, chapter 27, right? What is God trying to show you and teach you in chapter 27? Because the lessons I learned at age 22, or let's say chapter 22, are totally different than the story that God's writing my life on age 27. So every single chapter, every single year of your life, find the richness and the juice of what God's trying to mold you and show you, because he's going to open a door for you in the next upcoming season. And he's equipping you with all of the lessons and all of the tools that you need to have for that upcoming opportunity that's there. And you got to be mindful and have a lot of discernment with that opportunity, because they only come once in a lifetime.
Yes.
And if you don't take advantage of it, it's going to pass you by.
Yes. Keep it an open mind and don't close the door, right? And always be open to, or I'm not gonna say always, but be open to things. I remember when you told me you were going on this Miami trip, bro. Like we're talking about it, and you're talking about everything that you were gonna be doing big, on the funeral side of things. And you came back from it, and then the moment you came back, you're like, dude, I'm doing something different. I'm like, what? What just happened here?
Yeah,
So,
dude.
but that's exactly it. Your every being in your body, all the chakras, all the energy in your body was just telling you this is me.
Yeah.
And you took the action on it. And I think that's very, very crucial, is to take the action, and so if for everyone that's just wondering, I know you guys are wondering, like, I don't know if I'm in the right position, or what do I do? You guys are all wondering this. It's okay to not know. Your body will tell you, your mind will tell you when it's time to know. And something I took from a book I was reading, was, if you have different ideas of what you want in life, go test them all out. Like,
Yeah.
intern, if you're thinking about being an attorney, intern at a law firm. All right. If you're wanting to be a real estate agent, well, shadow a real estate agent all day long. Right. Like, go test the waters and try everything out before you make a full commitment. But that way you have a good idea of what you want to do, and then you can go do it. And then if that decides to change because something crosses your body and tells your body yes, that's okay. Right.
Yep.
You are called to do what you are called to do. And I think that we were all born and put on this earth to do something and to make a difference and to leave the world better than we left it. And you said it perfectly, is we all are called at a different level. And whatever level it is the level that you were called at. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
that's huge. That's huge. A big thing, and I think a big topic today, and a big learning lesson, is understanding the seasons of business and life. Right.
Oh yeah.
What what would you say? How would you tell everyone that just had that season, that just had that thing happen to them, that thing that set them back, that put them down, caused that little voice to come into their head?
Yep.
How would you guide them to rebound?
That's a great question. So the worst thing that you can do is fall in depression. The worst thing you can do is lose your morning routine. The worst thing you can do is let your fitness go, because that starts to compound and spiral in the wrong direction. When something like that happens and you get a jolt in life, which we all do, right? My mentor says things will get better as they always have, as they always will. So no matter what happens, things will always get better. This season shall pass. But when it passes, where will you end up? Right. So this is where you got to double down on your disciplines, double down on your affirmations, double down on writing down your goals every day. That's one thing that's given me so much faith, is that I'm writing down my goals as if they're done, because it forces you to operate at a different level, because you're seeing things that will manifest into your life. Right. And I feel like I don't write my goals down just for them to look or sound good.
Right.
It's like I write my goals down because that's what I really want to bring into my life. That's going to happen. Oh, I hope to be a million. No, I'm going to be a 7-figure earner in the next 12 months. Like, that's just the conviction. And the more you say it, the more you create neural pathways on it. Your subconscious being starts to perform like that. You start to wake up different. You start to consume the right knowledge, gain the right wisdom, get the right connections, get the right opportunity, right? And eventually things will start to play. So I would say, remind me again. I'm sorry. Remind me the question. I want to make sure I tie it down. What was the question?
No worries. How would you tell everybody, all the listeners that are thinking, I'm in that season, I don't know what to do, I have that little voice, all the things that are happening to them right now, all the things, how would you tell them to rebound from that?
Yeah. No, you gotta so winding back down. I kind of went on a tangent. I intend to do that. What I would suggest is get so clear on what the next season of your life is going to look like, and get the disciplines down. Find people who've been in a even more difficult situation, whether it's health, whether it's money, whatever it is. Let them make you feel like you were overreacting. I met with someone, divine appointment with somebody, said, bro, you only have that much debt. You're only that. I had a family of 5 with $7 in my bank account after 2009 or 2008. He says, that's when you should really panic. He said, you're single, bro, you're good. Just do this, and this, and you're good. So get people to help change your perspective on your situation, who have
Mm-hmm.
been in deeper shit and deeper problems, because it's going to give you a confidence knowing that if they're able to climb out, oh, dude, I can climb out. So it's dialing your disciplines, getting clear on a vision for your future, and then write down your goals every day, and then don't stop. Just focus on the most important things. Your first 90 minutes of your day should focus on the next 90 days for what you want to accomplish. That number one thing. So
That's
I'm
huge.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited for that because I know this season's gonna pass, and when it does, I'm gonna be able to listen to this podcast. I'm like, bro, what was I tripping about? Like, I'm so good. Like, I'm so good. You know?
Yeah. And I'm excited for you, brother. Like I really am. Because I know how driven and disciplined you are, and I know you're gonna make it, right? You've done it already, you're gonna do it again, you're
Yeah.
gonna go to a new level. So I'm excited to watch that journey as well unfold. And then like you said, we're gonna look back on September 1st of 2023 and like, wow, look at the times have changed. And you know what's crazy is everyone that's listening right now is going to be in the same position. They're going to look back a year
Yeah.
from now, right? And when it's going to be September 1st of 2024, and they're going to be like,
Wow.
wow, what a different season of life I'm
And there
in.
probably are a lot of listeners right now that are in the same season as us, as we
Uh,
all are going
I
through it.
know there's a lot of listeners
There's so
that are going
many,
through the
dude.
season.
Because I know everyone from my old career in real estate and mortgages. I just hear over and over and over again. And the guys that are truly winning, it's 1% of the people. So the thing is, you follow on Instagram probably a couple hundred people, 1,000 people, and you're probably following the most successful people that you know. Guess what that does to you? It makes it look like everyone that you see that breathes is that successful. Guess what I want you to do? Go drive on the highway, San Diego, 91, wherever you want, a 15 freeway, go anywhere, right? And count how many Lambos and Ferraris you see. Go count how many.
Ooh.
Go count.
Oh,
Just go around. And that's how you're gonna see how many people are actually winning. You don't see
yep.
anybody. On social media, you follow the most successful people who have the jets, the cars, the houses, all that stuff. Go drive on your highway right now and count how many cars you don't see that are over 200 grand. And you're gonna see how many people are not winning.
That just made it real.
Yeah.
Like that just made social media the world get very small. It made the
Crazy.
realness. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's huge. You said something a minute ago too that just cued on in my head, and I feel called to talk about it. When people like everyone that's going through the seasons right now, and they're thinking, I don't know what to do. What's next? I'm struggling. I'm stressed. I have bills because we all have those bills and those moments, right?
Yeah.
And you said find someone that can you could talk with, and they're like, well, that's let's look at it
Make you
this
feel
way.
like you're over make them feel like you're overreacting to your situation. That
Yeah,
happened to me yesterday. Yeah.
that's huge. And you can also do that with yourself too, right? And it's called your positioning, right?
Mm,
And so you have your position one, which is yourself and your feelings. You have
mm-hmm,
position two, which would be the other person's feelings and objectiveness towards it. And then
mm-hmm.
your position three, which is a total objective point of view, would be like the fly on the wall, just listening. That
That's
is able to listen
good.
to everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a mentor of mine actually taught me that, and that's actually an NLP strategy. And
That's
anytime I'm
good.
going,
That's really
yeah,
good, actually. Wow.
any,
I'm like playing that role right now as you're talking. I'm like, wow, that's so
yeah,
good. Shoot, what am I
yeah.
complaining about? What the heck?
You know what's crazy is when you're in an argument with somebody, do it and watch how you realize how small the argument is. Yeah,
Wow. I just had one right now. I just did that right now.
yeah. Because
Wow, that's crazy.
the feelings we have, we're entitled to, right? It's our feelings.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. But the other person's right too. And so then now let's look at it from a third objective where there is no feelings involved, and it's just a fly on the wall hearing the words coming out of the mouths.
Yeah.
And so you can staple that to arguments, you could staple that to everything, but I think you can staple that to that stress being of that season. And you have all the feelings, and you're entitled to have all the feelings,
Yeah.
right? But then maybe look at it and when you're talking to somebody about it, they're going to have their feelings based on it. But then you pull yourself out of that and you put yourself as that fly on the wall and you just listen to the objectives. And then you start to be able to really pull away what you need to do to get yourself out of that position.
Well, let me go one step further. For you, I want to ask you this question to bring value to your audience, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
If you saw Colby in his situation as a fly in the wall, right? What advice would you give him in this season of his life? Knowing you saw Colby walking around, right? You saw this dude in this season building a podcast, building his businesses, doing what he's doing, knowing all of his problems that he's dealing with. How would you coach someone in a very similar situation? What words would you give that Colby?
That's powerful. What I would say objectively is I would just look at objectively what I'm saying I want to do. And then we write an action list of everything we need to do to achieve X, Y, and Z. And so if you want to build a podcast, there's no feelings to it. Objectively, okay, you want to build a podcast. What is needed to build a podcast? Well, you need a mic, you need the recorder, you need the, X, Y, Z. I don't know the recipe. I mean, I do because I built one, but you need the recipe to everything. And you make it an action list. You put it on your calendar and you do it. Right. And you enjoy. If I was objectively looking at it as well with no feelings, I would say you want to build a podcast. And I would ask, is that what you're sure you want to do? And if the answer is yes, why are you stressing? If this is your desire, and your desire could be whatever it is, I'm just using podcasts as an example. If that was your most highest desire and you are building your way up to it, enjoy every freaking moment. Every moment, all of it. And from the position of 1, you get to feel every moment of it. But from the position of 3, I would just tell you the actionable list to go do because I don't have the emotion tied to it.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
That's awesome.
And so I do that quite a bit right now. I'm actually looking at the season that I'm in my life and everything that we have going on. And I went to position 3 and I wrote down all my goals.
Objective.
I individualized them, made an objective list on what needs to be done to do it. Right. And so if I have a goal of this and a goal of that and a goal of that by the end of the year, well, those are 3 different goals. They're not collective. They may be associated, but they're not collective. And so we separate the 3 goals and we make an action list for each of those goals and you plug it into the 17 weeks remaining in the year. And if you do those actions, and as long as you've thought about every single resource and every single piece and you keep going, like it can be, and that's what's really crazy here is actually my mentor did this with me. We did one little piece and we like looked at the circle of like all these little things on this just one little piece. And I don't remember, I can't recall exactly what it was, but it was something small. It was like the middle piece to the pie of the goal. And we're like, holy crap, we got a lot of writing to do. Right. And so you can action list a goal. Like if it's to make 100K by the end of the year, let's say, right? Okay, well, how many weeks do we have left? And where am I at in income right now? Well, we do the math and let's just say you're at 70,000. Well, that means you need $30,000 remaining to the end of the year.
Yep.
All right. Well, what can you do to make $30,000? And if you're in the sales force, well, it's X amount of sales. Okay. Well, X amount of sales, what's the average sale? Okay. How many clients do you need? Right. And you start back engineering this and you just turn into actionable goals. And then you break those little pieces apart into smaller goals. Right. And so if you need to do 5 sales a week, well, then what's your closing ratio? If it's 1 out of 3, well, then that means you need to sit down with 15 people. Okay. Let's even get smaller. In order to sit down with 15 people, how many connections do you need to make? Right. And then we just start back engineering this. And now you have this recipe and this formula for exactly what you need to do. And that's objectively putting it on paper. And now looking at the paper, you follow the action list, you're going to arrive at the destination.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I think that's huge. Thank you for asking that. Actually, I love that you did that.
Yeah. Huge.
You're like, oh, I got a lot of work to do myself. I do. So, no, that's huge, man. I wrote down actually some key pieces here, and I think some tangibles to take away from today really is a commitment, right? Just point blank commit, absolute
Yeah.
commit. And then I also wrote down seasons because I think it is extremely important for everyone to know there's seasons in your life.
Yeah.
There's a planting season, right? There's the reaping season.
Yep.
And so there is seasons in your life, and it is okay. I want you to know, for everyone listening, I want you to know it is okay to feel down. It is okay to feel like you made a mistake. It is okay to not know if you're going to make it. But remember, that's the voice telling you in your head for safety measures. It's not the thing telling you this is not for you. It is for you. It is for you, right? And something I took away from this too was low cost. And so for everybody that's thinking about going and buying that new car, that shiny new object, do not do it. Keep your costs low because there will be seasons in your life and you're going to think those times, right? You're going to think that your costs are low when that season arrives.
Yeah.
And I also put that the season will pass. All seasons pass as long as you take actionable steps forward. Objectively, right? You remove yourself from the position, you remove yourself from the emotions, and you look at an objective point of view, and the season will pass because you will take actionable steps forward. And something else that I put down was say yes when your body and the energy is telling you this is you. Right?
Yeah.
So,
huge.
Brother, if you could give people just like 3 tangibles of action steps for everyone that's wanting to know my next step, my next move, what's next, what would you say is 3 tangibles that someone could take and go build something?
Yeah. So immediately write down what you're going to do in 90 days. Get a short-term goal. Write down what you want to do. And what Colby said, literally dissect each goal and create an emotional why behind why you're doing it. What's the reason for it, right? Second thing I would do from that is create accountability and discipline structures around the action steps around it. If I don't do X, then I have to pay someone Y. If I do this, then I can reward myself with that. Create a discipline accountability around your actions, because then that's going to force you to continue to maintain the actions. And then the last thing I would say, just for immediate results, is incorporate your fitness, mind, body, spirit. Feed your mind daily. Feed your body good food. Get into the gym every single day. And feed your spirit. Daily bread, a chapter of the Bible. Doesn't take long. Takes 6 minutes max to digest that. When you feed your mind, body, spirit, you're taking your vehicle and you're pumping the best freaking fuel in it, and you're getting your enough sleep, and you're going through, you're going to do way more than someone who's grinding their face off that doesn't have a full recharge. So those would be the three most important things I would suggest.
Huge. I just got chills from that. Wow. That was absolutely massive. I know they just took extreme value from that. So 3 actionable steps to take action: your mind, your body, your spirit.
Let's go.
Accountability and discipline, and a plan and a why. That is huge. Thank you for that, brother. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Success Shift, and that's huge because I can keep going, but they're just gonna have to tune in for another episode.
Let's go.
So, Jacob, I want to have you back, brother, because what I want to do is I cannot wait to have you back after this season.
Oh, man.
And we look back at it and we start talking about the next chapter, right? And so I want to have you back for that, brother. Thank you so much for coming on and providing value to others and giving back to others. I know everyone took extreme takeaways from that. And so thank you guys for tuning into the Success Shift. We're again here. We are cultivating entrepreneurial confidence. Thank you, Jacob, for coming on and bringing massive value. Tune in next time, guys. God bless.